I'm here outside of Coach Norvell's office for an emergency meeting. We had a game last night versus Clemson, and everything went well. I got in late because DJ went down with the injury, but I didn't turn the ball over or anything like that, so I'm honestly not sure what this could be about.
So, as you know, DJ went down with an injury in last night's game.
Yeah,
Well, we just got word back that it's more serious than we thought, and he'll likely be out for several weeks. So that makes you the next man up. Now, I don't want you to let this go to your head, okay? Just keep doing what you've been doing, and everything will be fine. But remember, the standard is the standard. And if at any moment myself or your coaches feel you're not playing up to the standard, we'll have to pull the plug, okay?
Okay, I got you, Coach. Man, y'all should already know I'm excited as hell. It's finally time for me to shine. I said I'm the best quarterback in college football all along. Now I finally get a chance to prove it. Yeah, it is sad that DJ got hurt, but if him getting hurt is what had to happen for me to get my shot, then so be it.
Wow, honey, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Oh, is DJ gonna be okay?
Mama, I don't care about DJ. As a matter of fact, where's Dad at? Can you please put him on the phone?
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna pass the phone to your father.
It's so crazy how quick your life can change. Just a few weeks ago, I was a third-string quarterback at Oregon with no real chance of playing this year. As a matter of fact, man, Coach Lanning said I should probably redshirt. Look at me now. I'm here at Florida State about to start my first game. Man, I know y'all probably got a lot of questions on how this even happened, so let me take a second and bring everybody up to date. I spent the majority of spring break in my parents' crib, really just weighing out all my options. First, I had to decide if I was going to enter the transfer portal or just redshirt this year and stay at Oregon. Well, that decision was pretty easy to make. It wasn't no way I was redshirting, so I went ahead and jumped in the portal. I just knew as soon as word spread that I was in the portal, my phone would be ringing non-stop. But for some reason, the first few days nobody called. But then a few calls started to trickle in, but it was mainly from smaller schools I wasn't interested in, like UAB and LA Tech. I spent the next few days just relaxing and enjoying my spring break. But then I started to get a little bit concerned after the first week because nobody was reaching out. But that's when it hit me. They probably just didn't have my number. So I started reaching out to coaches at Power 5 schools all across the country. You know, Texas, LSU, Alabama, Michigan, the big schools. I knew each of those schools would be blessed to have me on their roster, but they didn't seem too interested. But I also knew that's only because they already had their quarterback position filled. I made call after call to these universities, but I had no success. I'll be honest, I felt lost and somewhat embarrassed. I was officially stranded in the portal. Well, that's when I reached out to my pops for some advice on what I should do next.
Look, son, now I know you feel like you're the best player in the nation, and I don't doubt that one bit at all. But the problem is no one else outside this house believes you. I was reading the comments on your latest YouTube video, and I seen that you had a lot of doubters. And the only way to turn them doubters into believers is to show them. But that may mean starting from the bottom and working your way up. So, with that being said, I think you should consider joining the roster as a second option. And when given a chance to compete for that starting spot, you take what's yours. So, I think you should reach out to Florida State. The quarterback is leaving for the pros, so not only is that a wide open spot for you, but you'll also be right at home.
My pops was right. I really am the greatest football player to ever live, but no one else knows that, and it's my job to show them. I took the next few days to get some rest because I knew as soon as spring break was over, my mission to be recognized as the GOAT would start. I was still in pretty good shape from spring training at Oregon, but over the break, I didn't train at all and I had started to develop a gut. So I decided to jumpstart things a bit before reporting to FSU with 2-a-day training. Yeah, so every day I wake up and do morning runs and then evening weight training, just to get my wind back. When I first got to FSU, there wasn't a huge media buzz surrounding my name. When the other guys would get interviewed, it would be 20 or 30 reporters gathered around. But for me, it was only like 1 or 2. I knew I needed to change that, so when a reporter asked how camp was going, I decided to shake things up a little bit. Camp is going pretty good. Well, for me at least. Now, I can't say the same about the other quarterbacks on the team, but that's for them to figure out. Just know when the season opener comes, I'll be more than ready. As expected, Coach Norvell was pissed, but I didn't care. That one media soundbite got all of college football talking about me, which is exactly what I had planned to happen. This was officially my team now. Everyone else just didn't know. As camp began to wrap up, I was still taking second team snaps, but I was totally fine with that. I took my dad's advice and changed my mindset and my perspective. I knew eventually I'd get my shot at QB1, and when I do, I never give it back. To kick off the season, coach had DJ Uigui starting, and again, I was totally fine with that. See, I knew eventually I would get my chance to put my hands under the center's balls, so I just told myself to stay patient. Now don't get it twisted, I'm still that guy. Yeah, I don't want y'all thinking I got humbled or anything like that. Now I just realized that sometimes in order to get in, you gotta fit in. So for the first 4 games of the season, I was on placeholder duty. And to be honest, the job is pretty difficult. I mean, it's a lot of technique that goes into it. From the outside looking in, it looks super easy, but honestly, it's really not. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, I would finally get my chance in the backfield at quarterback our last game versus Clemson. DJ went down with his injury, so my number was called to go out and close the game. Ironically, this was our first big test of the season, so it couldn't have happened at a better time. We had a small 3-point lead with just over 4 minutes left when I took the field. So of course, coach wanted me to go out and just protect the ball and manage the clock, but I had other plans. Yeah, I wanted to attack the defense and try to put more points on the board. And I did just that. I went on to throw my first official collegiate touchdown to close out the game versus one of our biggest rivals on the road. Now that your boy gonna be starting, I know all the cameras gonna be on me, so I think it's time I go get some new drip. Now my off the field drip is already top tier. Yeah, y'all see it, but my on the field drip can use a bit of an upgrade. So let's head over to the equipment room to see what we can find before we hit the field. Alright, so look, I'm here in the equipment room and I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the drip for my game today. Now, of course, I'll make changes throughout the season, depending on if we're playing at home or on the road. But for my first game as a starter, this is the look. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so up top, I went with the Speed Flex 2 bar. I know oftentimes you may see a lot of receivers wearing this helmet, but it's the perfect fit for me. Of course, I also had to throw on the pitch black Oakley visor and the neon green mouthpiece. Nothing too crazy. Now, I did decide to go with the rolled up jersey as well for obvious reasons. I mean, come on, I look like a Greek god. Anyways, I also put on the battle backplate for solely aesthetic purposes. I mean, I don't plan on being on my back at all this season. Now, finally, for the most important part, the shoes. I was really thinking about going with the Kobe's for this game, but after careful consideration, I think I'll save those for a later date. Instead, I went with the Jordan 4s. You look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you'll play good. And if you play good, come on, man, y'all know they pay good. Well, I'm feeling great, and I know I look even better. So like I said, this is the drip for today's game. So y'all do me a favor and give me a rating out of 1 through 10 down below. I think I look like an absolute superstar, but I'm excited to see what y'all think. Anyways, enough of all that. Let's go ahead and hit the field. My first game as a starter came on the road versus our arch rivals, Florida University. Now that's an insane amount of pressure to put on the shoulders of a freshman quarterback, but I knew if anyone could handle the pressure of the D, it was me. Now I can't lie, I did come out pretty rusty, but I mean, come on now, that's expected. But it wouldn't take me very long to find my bearings. On our second drive down the field, I connected with my guy Keon for a huge 70-yard touchdown. My mission to be acknowledged as the greatest ever was officially underway. Florida went down and struck back immediately with a touchdown and a field goal, giving them a 3-point lead. I took the field with just over 2 minutes left in the first half. Now we work on our 2-minute offense every day at the end of practice, so this scenario was nothing new to me. I stayed calm and composed and was able to move the ball up the field, throwing a touchdown and giving us a lead going into the second half. I came out just as aggressive in the third quarter. I had all the confidence in the world and it was showing through my comfort in the pocket. Well, just as I started to really settle in, that comfort was snatched away as my tight end forced me to throw an interception, putting the ball right back into the hands of the Florida offense. Now, luckily, we were able to hold them to only a field goal and we got the ball back to start the fourth quarter. Even though he made me throw that interception on the drive before, I went right back to my tight end for a huge reception, putting us right outside the end zone. That's when I decided to call my own number and scramble into the end zone, giving us the lead again with just over 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Gators refused to bend over and they went down to score back-to-back touchdowns, giving them the 8-point lead. Now we may have been down, but we definitely wasn't out. This is the moment I had always dreamed of. With our backs pinned against the mattress, we got an extremely clutch pass interference call, which moved the ball right outside the red zone to the 18-yard line. With 30 seconds left, I had no choice but to scramble outside the pocket to pick up the first down. But excellent blocking on the outside allowed me to take the ball in for the touchdown, bringing us to within 2 points. The defense sent the blitz on a 2-point conversion, which left me no choice but to scramble and throw up a Hail Mary, which fell flat in the end zone, ultimately resulted in us losing the game to our rivals on the road by only 2 points. Next, we be at home versus Auburn, and y'all boys know we don't lose at home. I came out focused and ready to play. Even though the last game versus Florida ended in a loss, it still did a lot for me. Yeah, it was like a confirmation that I really am who I say I am. The first drive down the field, we were able to move the ball with ease. Even though I knew I was the best pocket passer in the nation, I also knew I'd have to be mobile at times to beat the defense. In only 5 big plays, I was able to get us right outside the end zone where I'd find my tight end on a flat route for 6. Our defense went out there and fought hard to get the 3 and out, putting the ball right back into our hands. I was fired up and ready to go take a 14-0 lead, but once again, my damn receiver was out of position, causing me to throw an interception. We walked through each of these routes pregame, but it's like as soon as we step on the field, they want to run the route a few yards deeper. It really pisses me off because I'm always the one to blame for their mess ups. If they would just listen to me, none of this would happen. I don't know what was going on with my receivers this game. It's like we were all out of sync, almost like we had never played together before. Like on this play right here, I have my tight end wide open, but for some reason, he decides to break off his route and run upfield. Like, bro, what are you even doing? I had thrown 2 interceptions in just the first half, but a blind man can see that none of them were my fault. I was making the same reads that I would normally make in practice, but for some reason today, everybody decided to go off script. Like this play right here, I have my guy wide open, but he decided to just, man, look, it was his fault, bruh, but yet again, I look bad. 3 interceptions is crazy and coach has seen enough. This was my last play of the game as we went on to lose and I was benched for the entire second half. The next day after the game, I went straight to the coach's office demanding answers. Yeah, I wanted to know why I was benched. I mean, none of those interceptions were even my fault. He kept trying to tell me that I lacked accountability and a whole bunch of other crap I wasn't trying to hear. Man, I ended up being benched for the biggest game of the season, Florida State versus Alabama. But look though, my backup played horrible and we got our heinies beat. With DJ still being sidelined with that season-ending injury and my backup playing worse than I did, after just 1 game, I was back in the starting lineup. My first game back as a starter, we'd be taking on Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. Even though both teams had suffered several losses this season, it was still a very important game for me personally because I'll be going head to head with this year's expected first round pick, Shedeur Sanders. Now my mindset was different coming into this game because I had already been benched, so I felt like I didn't have anything to lose. That mindset allowed me to play completely carefree. Also, not only would I be competing against Shedeur, but Shiloh Sanders and Travis Hunter were on the defensive side of the ball as well. All eyes would be on those guys, so naturally, that meant all eyes on me. Coach stressed the importance of establishing a run game. He believed that if we stroked the D by running the ball early and often, eventually they would begin to send the blitz, and then that would leave a huge opening in the secondary. Well, that's exactly what happened. I connected several times for huge gains stemming from play action plays. Then by the time they dropped back into the zone coverage, we start killing them again on the ground. It was the perfect 1-2 punch. This was hands down my best game of the season, as it was here that I truly began to grow comfortable scrambling and running with the ball. See, I've always seen myself as like a pocket passer, but over the course of the season, I think I grew into a bit of a dual threat quarterback. You know, like Steve Young and Randall Cunningham, but of course I'm a lot better than those guys. Anyways, we went on to beat the sleeves off the Buffaloes and the game was never really close at any point. I knew I had secured my starting spot with my play in that game, but if I'm being honest, I still had a big chip on my shoulder for even being benched in the first place. Our biggest rival was right in front of us, but unfortunately, we'd be right back to our old ways. We were hosting Clemson at the crib in front of a sold-out stadium, but my first pass of the game was intercepted, simply because my receiver wasn't where he was supposed to be. Man, at this point of the season, I had pretty much realized that this wasn't a winning team, and if I wanted to win, either something was going to have to change or I simply was going to have to leave. I knew I couldn't just write the rest of the season off though. Other schools were watching and taking notes, so every pass I made mattered. Our defense was able to force a turnover and put the ball back in our hands. And that's when I walked us all the way down the field to strike first with the touchdown. Of course, Clemson answered right back, so I already knew what type of game it was going to be. And trust me, I wasn't ducking no smoke. My boy LT came up clutch. He was able to break off a huge run up the middle of the defense. Then as soon as he got done having his way with them, I'd step up and make a play. That 1-2 punch I've been talking about all season worked perfectly yet again, as LT was able to run the ball in for 6 from right outside the end zone. Clemson came right back and put up some points of their own. I could feel the guys starting to panic a little bit, but I was calm, cool, and confident. Well, that's until I threw another interception, but this time, I'll admit, it wasn't the receiver's fault, but it certainly wasn't my fault either. I mean, sometimes the defense just plays good defense. Anyways, on what would be our final possession of the game, we were still trailing by 5 points. Yeah, that meant we still had a chance to take the lead, but credit to Clemson's girthy D up front, I didn't have time to make a damn pass. I mean, I was running for my life that whole possession. And eventually, I would take a huge sack that resulted in a 3rd and 20. Of course, we weren't able to convert on 3rd down, and we go on to lose yet another game at home, versus yet another arch rival. Things was looking pretty ugly at this point. At that point in the season, I had a 66% completion rate and I had thrown for over 3,000 yards, but I only had 19 touchdowns with 16 interceptions. Yeah, that wasn't gonna cut it. We only had 3 games left in the season and our next opponent was Mississippi State. Now, after really looking over my stats and comparing them to other quarterbacks across college football, I realized I had been playing horrible, but it wasn't my fault though. I mean, the group of receivers I had wasn't the best, and my offensive line. Yeah, my offensive line was ass. Like, bro, look what I did versus Colorado. I put on a clinic, and I outplayed Shador. So if he's going to be the number 1 overall pick this year, and I outplayed him, that could only mean one thing. Yeah, that means I'm the best player in the nation, but I'm playing on a sorry team. I took on that selfish mindset I had back in high school. I mean, at that point, it was clear we wasn't playing for no championship this year. So I started to play for myself. Yeah, no more risky passes leading to interceptions. No more throwing the ball away out of bounds, lowering my completion percentage. Yeah, all of that was over. I mean, I let this group of bums make me look bad for far too long. Yeah, now it was time for Big TJ to shine. Ironically, this mindset and playstyle proved to be very effective as we completely dominated Mississippi State pretty easy. Our running attack was on point this whole game. Yeah, LT finally started running with purpose and showing a little bit of passion instead of just playing around in the backfield. And our passing attack, man, it was just as good because like I told y'all, I was done taking risks. So that meant if you wasn't open, bro, I wasn't throwing it to you. I didn't care if that meant taking a sack or whatever, bro. It was what it was. Although we were able to win this game, you can tell that the team morale was at an all-time low. After the game, instead of celebrating a victory, everybody was just arguing and upset, but low-key, I ain't even care. The next week, we be on the road taking on UCLA. Now, as I just mentioned, the team morale was at an all-time low. I mean, nobody was really rocking with each other. Well, I guess I should say nobody was really rocking with me. I mean, the O-line hung with the O-line, the receivers with the receivers. I basically spent all week by myself. The jokes weren't as funny anymore, and the plane rides were silent. But strangely enough, we seem to be playing the best football we played all season. Now, there could be many reasons as to why this was, but if I'm being honest, man, I think everyone was just playing selfish. This season definitely didn't shape up how any of us expected it to, and we all knew there were going to be huge changes taking place this offseason. So I honestly feel like everyone just wanted to have a good end of season highlight tape to build off of come next year. Well, I mean, I'll speak for myself, that's what I was thinking. We started off very strong, jumping out to a 14-0 lead, but then UCLA went down and scored 7 points of their own. We got the ball back and picked up right where we left off the drive before. Now that same balanced offense I've been telling y'all about all season continued to be reliable as we worked our way all the way up the field. Now we got right inside the red zone on the 9-yard line, and that's when I found my receiver wide open in the back of the end zone for 6, giving me my first touchdown of the day. The Bruins refused to bend over as they fought back and cut the lead down to just 3 points. Now there was still a ton of time left on the clock, so that's when I got specific instructions from the coach. He told me to just not turn the ball over, and if I have a shot, then go ahead and take it. Now, he had just given me the green light, and y'all should know me well enough by now to know that I took it. I threw a huge 30-yard dagger to the back of the end zone and officially gave us a large enough lead to close out the game. We went on to beat the Bruins on the road, and although it was basically the end of the season, we finally started to gel together and play as a team. In what would be our final game of our lackluster season, we would be playing against Coach Prime again and his Colorado Buffaloes. Now, this meant another head-to-head matchup against his son, Shador. Even though I had outplayed him in our first meeting, he was having a far better season than I was. Now, hold on. That don't mean he's better than me. All that means is he has a better team and he's surrounded by more weapons. And I made it my mission to prove just that in this game because I know I got a lot of doubters out there. But anyways, we jumped out to a very early lead, just like we did in our first meeting. Also, just like our defense had done all season, they were playing incredible and they forced the 3 and out, putting the ball back into putting the ball back into my hands to go and make another play. And well, I did just that. But look, in this game, I was killing them boys with my feet. But I could tell that they had been studying me and watching film because they had a perfect game plan. I mean, all my favorite crossing routes were covered, so that left me no choice but to scramble and lead the pocket. Bro, I dog walked them boys all the way up the field, then I handed off the ball for an easy 2-yard touchdown. This being our last game of the season was crazy though. I remember that's all I could think about on our final drive up the field. It kind of felt like the last day of school. You know that feeling you get when you just know you're not going to see all the guys together again? Even though we didn't end on the best of terms, I had still just went to war with these dudes. We were brothers. Look, I still don't know what my future holds. I know a lot of coaches saw what I was capable of this year if given the right weapons, so I should have plenty of transfer options this offseason if I choose to do so. But I might just stay here and see what type of team we could put together next season. Y'all do me a favor and comment down below. What should my next move be?